What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very interesting update for AMC, and we're going to go over something in this video that I think you guys all need to be aware of, and I think once we cover all of these points, you'll get a little bit more of an insight into what is exactly going on, specifically with this shareholder meeting coming up on May 4th. We're also going to briefly talk about the short interest and the utilization rate from Ortex, and I'm going to briefly summarize the points from my last AMC video because they are still relevant in this video because the stress test is starting today. So before we get into all of that information, if you guys would like to earn 2 free stocks with Webull and help out and support the channel, these 2 free stocks are valued up to $1,850, and in order to get these, all you have to do is sign up for an account with Webull through the link down below and deposit over $100. And if you guys enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in these videos, make sure you go down and hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So at the current time that I am recording this video, AMC is up about 7.4%, 7.3%, and is trading just under $11. Now, earlier in the day, we did see it cross the $11 mark, and we are having a very great day for AMC. So this is a very good sign to see that we are starting to see a move up, but this is not the squeeze yet, guys. I've seen a couple of things online that people were saying it's starting, it's happening right now. You guys are going to know when this is happening. A lot of things are going to fall into place, and the price is going to freak out. If the squeeze was happening and we were seeing the stock jump up and just hang out in these ranges like we were seeing up here, that wouldn't really be a squeeze. So at the current time, we are seeing the short interest according to Matt Core's Twitter. Again, shout out to Matt for putting all of these Ortex numbers up every single morning. The short interest is at about 23.63% at the current time, another record, and the utilization is at 100% still at the max value. So if you guys did not know, the utilization is essentially the amount of shares that the institutions are willing to put out on loan versus the amount of shares that have already been loaned out. So technically, all of these shares have been loaned out at the current time, but that does not mean that naked shorting is not still occurring. Now, naked shorting is going to be a very important concept that we are going to cover a little bit later in this video, but today we are seeing the start of this stress test. We can see here the dates will take place on Monday, April 26, 2021, and this has to do with the netting members. So in my previous video, we went over all just how important the netting members are. We saw JP Morgan open up about 17 netting accounts. We saw Bank of America open another one. And it's slipping my mind right now, the other bank that opened another netting account, but it really has to do with fixed income and mortgage-backed securities. And when you take a look at some of the members of these different divisions of the DTCC, all 3 of Citadel's arms are members of this division. So this is a very important stress test. But in order to sufficiently capitalize themselves to prove that that these different institutions are fully capitalized in order to sustain any losses that may come in any situation that comes forward, we did see JP Morgan do one of the biggest bond sales in recent history. It was about $16 billion. So there is a lot of funny business going on behind the scenes right now, but we are just going to have to wait and see how this stress test plays out over this week and probably the next week as well. What we also have to keep in mind is that my theory for how AMC squeeze is going to start is through a pretty substantial gamma squeeze. So right now, we are not seeing an extremely high amount of open interest on any of these strikes. So that suggests to me that a gamma squeeze at the current time is out of the question for this week. But when we scroll over here a little bit, we can see that the volume on this $11 strike is 27,330. Just went up another one. So the volume is the total amount of options contracts traded throughout the day, and that's buys and sells. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many of these 27,000 contracts traded today add over here to the open interest, because the open interest is essentially the amount of contracts that people are holding in their brokerage accounts by the end of each trading day, because the technical definition of open interest is something like the amount of contracts that are out in the market that have not been exercised or closed out. Now, I want to get into something that I really want you guys to consider doing, and we are going to put our tinfoil hats on for this, but I think once we go through it, this is going to make a lot of sense to you guys. And this is going to have to do with the authorization of 500 million new shares that AMC is requesting us to vote on. So we can see here, right here, to approve an amendment to our third amended and restated certificate of incorporation to increase the total number of shares of Class A common stock. The company shall have the authority to issue 500 million shares to a total of about 1.02 billion shares of Class A common stock. So this is pretty insane. They essentially want to double the amount of shares that are going to be out in the market. Now, a lot of people have been freaking out about this, but when I was thinking about this over the past couple of days, I actually think the announcement that they want us to vote on this 500 million share potential offering is actually brilliant. So let's walk through this. So when we come over to this Reddit post, this individual is saying, I've been doing this for a long time. Do not approve the 500 million authorized shares before the squeeze. Retail owns 90% of the stock with a market borrow rate at 27%. Hold until we get the squeeze. The floor is 100K. It'll be a bumpy run up, but if nobody sells, we will get there. So this individual then goes on to say, he doesn't care what Adam says. I am promising you, if you authorize these shares before the squeeze, you could potentially jeopardize this whole operation we have been building for months, and it could all fall apart, and we could all lose from this. We own 90%. Adam will blank us. He is a suit in thinking for the interest of the board and his position in the longing of the company. Now, I actually disagree. So here's what I think is occurring right now, and it's actually pretty brilliant. So we've seen in the past, hedge funds have come out and predatorily shorted companies into oblivion until they are no longer in business. The individuals that work at the highest level at AMC, such as Adam Aron and all of the board members, they're not stupid. They know exactly what is going on, and if they don't do something about this naked shorting situation, then they may go out of business. So here is what I think is going on. They needed to come out with a way in order to figure out and prove that there is naked shorting of their stock that is artificially pushing it down. Now, they have to find out a way that is kind of going to go around the different regulatory institutions, because those are in the banks and all of these other institutions, because those are all of the institutions that allowed this to happen. If they did some sort of share recount where everybody was coming out, all of these banks and hedge funds were like, yeah, we own this amount of shares, they would just lie and say that it's basically the exact number that it's supposed to be. So what I'm thinking that they did was they announced something so outlandish, like this 500 million authorized share offering, so that retail and all of this community and movement would get together and vote against it. And what this is allowing them to do is that, think about it, if there's naked shares on the market, when you short a stock, you're borrowing a share, but in the naked shorting situation, you are borrowing a share that does not exist, but you still have to sell it on the open market. So you have to meet a buyer. That means that retail probably owns a significant amount of these synthetic shares, which allows them, and they are entitled to a vote. When the vote comes in, and if it is more than the total amount of shares and votes that they were expecting, this will come as proof that there is naked shorting going on. Now, I've seen a couple of comments in my AMC videos that have said, how do you know that there is naked shorting? And it really got me thinking, well, we know that the different data sources like Ortex, FINRA, and Fintel, or not FINRA, Fintel and FinViz all have different numbers for the short interest. Now, why is that? Well, it could be due to the different reporting dates that they have, or it's due to them only operating with one brokerage or institution, and these institutions are not really legally obligated to actually come out and say what their exact short interest is. It's self-reported, and the fines that they get for these misreporting are minuscule. We are also seeing a lot of action and volume on the over-the-counter markets for AMC. So right here, we can see that there was 1.73 billion shares traded in the month of February. Now, again, a lot of these trades are being filled on behalf of brokerages like Robinhood and Webull that use companies like Citadel for their market maker. But with the amount of volume that we see here kind of on the over-the-counter market suggests to me that even though a lot of these trades are being carried out on behalf of these different brokerages, I think a lot of nefarious activity is going on in these over-the-counter markets. If you guys were able to watch one of my other videos on AMC a while ago about the anatomy of a short attack, that's a pretty interesting article that I definitely recommend you guys go look at. but there was a situation where one individual bought every single outstanding share of a company because it was trading so low. The next day, however, he took delivery and held all of these shares, didn't sell anything, but there was a massive spike in volume on the over-the-counter market. So these were the synthetic shares that were traded, and I think that could be represented here, but again, we don't really know. But the authorization of this 500 million share offering could blow the top off this whole thing. That is why I'm saying I think it is in everybody's best interest to vote. It doesn't matter if you're voting yes or no. Everybody has an opinion and a good point if they want to vote yes to approve this or if they want to vote no on it. In my opinion, the sole purpose for this vote is to determine how many shares are actually out on the market that aren't supposed to be there. Now, again, I can't really prove that statement right now that that's the sole purpose of this shareholder vote, but it seems very likely. They came out and basically said, we want to essentially double the amount of shares that are available, and they want to do a massive offering. Obviously, retail investors are not stupid. They know that if this actually came out and they did a 500 million share offering, this would massively dilute the stock, and it would essentially mitigate any squeeze that was coming in the future. And I think AMC executives know this as well. They are not stupid individuals. They know, as I said earlier, that these hedge funds will come out and try to short these companies into oblivion using their different tactics. So when they're using naked shorting, these hedge funds, when they come out and naked short the stock, they essentially need the stock to go to zero because you can't really buy back shares that do not exist. So if the share price went to zero, they would win, but if not, they would essentially be screwed because eventually they have to cover. So I still think a squeeze is going to happen in the future, but I don't know when. I don't think anybody knows when this squeeze is going to happen, and I don't think it's very smart to speculate on a specific date. Now, we do have the stress tests coming up throughout this week, which I do think is going to be a very important catalyst, but I think it's really about the broader market and how it's going to affect the institutions that have been messing with AMC. So that is going to conclude this update on AMC. If you guys enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a very profitable day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.